Don't sell your own blessing for a temporary fix, for like a temporary satisfaction. In the book of Genesis, we have Esau and Jacob, right? And Esau basically sells his firstborn rights for a bowl of soup, of stew, because he was hungry. He was so hungry that he gave up his firstborn rights, his firstborn blessings for stew, okay? Like his firstborn rights. Genesis 25, starting at verse 29. Once when Jacob was cooking some stew, okay, Esau came in from the open country famished, all right? He said to Jacob, quick, let me have some of that red stew. I'm famished. That's why he was also called Edom, all right? Jacob replied, first, sell me your birthright. Look, I'm about to die. Like, how dramatic is Esau? And y'all listen, when I'm hungry, I get hangry, okay? Like, I get it. Like, when you're hungry, you want something to eat right now. You don't care. But my dude said he was about to die. That's how dramatic he was, okay? Look, I'm about to die, Esau said. What good is that birthright to me? But Jacob said, swear to me first. So he swore an oath to him, selling his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and some lentil stew. He ate and drank and then got up and left. Esau despised his birthright. Esau did not even care about his birthright, about his blessing, right? Like he gave it up for some stew, okay? Now, I know Jacob went about this the wrong way, right? Because Jacob lied, because later on in Genesis, when Isaac is pretty much on his deathbed and he's going to bless his sons, Jacob pretends to be Esau so that he can get like the blessing of the birthright, right? So he went about it the wrong way. He lied, you know, but it was the determination behind Jacob, like wanting to get the birthright. That's how much it meant to him, okay? He didn't go about it the right way. He did lie, but he was so determined to get the firstborn right, blessing, what have you, that he orchestrated this whole thing, right? With the help of his mom, of course, but they orchestrated this whole thing. And Esau could care less about the firstborn rights because he gave them up for some stew. Now, I've talked about Esau before. His generation, like his family line, is the Edomites. If I'm saying that wrong, whatever, okay? But they end up being so against the Israelites, right? There is constant conflict, constant war between them as like the generations expand. And you guys see that even when the Israelites were being held captive, taken captive by Babylon, and all these things were happening to them, their own judgment that God ordained because they, you know, were out here doing crazy stuff and, you know, being disobedient to God and worshiping idols. So well deserved, okay? But nonetheless, the Edomites, like, they didn't care. They did not care. They did not come in to help them. They did not come in to defend them. They were like, we don't care. Like, let this happen to them. You know, so there was always family conflict between the Israelites and the Edomites. But I'm not going to get into all that. What the point I'm trying to make is, a lot of you guys, all of us, right, have a blessing for us. Like, everybody has a blessing for them, right? God has made a promise to you. He's told you something. He's confirmed something for you. He's giving you a vision about something. He's giving you dreams about stuff, and so on and so forth, right? But some people get so to the point where they're like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. So I'm going to settle for the counterfeit, right? And I'm not even necessarily talking about a physical person, y'all, although that is a counterfeit as well. Like, if you're waiting on marriage and you get tired of waiting, or you're growing weary and you just want to, you know what, bump it. I don't want to wait anymore. I'm done with this. I'm going to go for a counterfeit. Then that's essentially selling your blessing for, you know, a quick fix, a temporary pleasure. Because I'm telling you right now, whatever Satan offers you is going to be a counterfeit. Okay, it could be a counterfeit job, counterfeit home, counterfeit friends, you know, a counterfeit husband, wife, you know, what have you. It's always temporary. It's never like an eternal, you know, pure, good blessing, right? Like, it's always temporary. Yeah, you'll get like some satisfaction out of it. Sure, you'll be happy for a little bit with it. It might offer you like a little bit of peace, you know, or what have you. But the thing with what Satan offers you, the counterfeits that he offers you, there's always a catch to them. There's always something that is going to like not turn out very well with a counterfeit. You always want to wait for what God has for you. You know, and I know that that's hard because the wait can always be hard. And I'm super transparent about that. I've talked about this before. Like, we wait on God, we trust on God, we have faith in God to come through. But the wait is hard. But there's so much that goes into the wait. You know, there's a lot of preparation, there's a lot of pruning, there's a lot of refinement that has to be done in order to receive the blessing that God has for you. Now, sure, you can walk away, you can sell your blessing, you know, and go settle for a counterfeit or go and try and do things on your own, but it's not going to work out. Like I said, you'll have a temporary satisfaction, but it's not permanent, it's not everlasting, it's not eternal. And that's not to say that when God does bless you and you do step into the doors of opportunity or the marriage or what have you that God has for you, that's not to say that you're not going to come into, you know, giants that you're going to have to slay, because just like I tell you in the word, we're going to have trials, troubles, and tribulations, right? We are. But the difference is, this is God ordained. This is what God has for you. So yeah, those trials, troubles, and tribulations are going to strengthen you, and you're going to keep on going because you have God with you. But I'm telling you right now, whatever you come into agreement with outside of God's will, you're going to have to maintain it outside of God's will. God will allow you to have it because it's part of his permissive will, but he's not going to, that's not what he had for you. So he's not going to bless it per se, if that makes sense. You have to understand that what God has for you, whether it be marriage, career, you know, friends, home, car, you know, whatever it is that God has for you is exceedingly abundantly beyond anything that you could ask for, dream of, think about, right? Like that counterfeit that you are potentially falling into. And again, y'all, I'm not necessarily talking about a person. A counterfeit is anything other than what God has for you, okay? A counterfeit is what Satan sends you, offers you, or whatnot. Even though it may look good, sound good, does not mean that it is going to be good. The blessings and promises that God has for you is immaculate. It's amazing, right? But a lot of people give up. They walk away before they get it. They sell their blessing for a counterfeit, for, you know, some stew. That's what that is. It's some stew, baby. That's what you're selling your blessing for. You could have a full course freaking meal inside of a palace, but instead you are going to settle for some stew because you're famished, right? Like, think about it. So again, y'all, I know this way is hard. It is. There's a lot that goes into it, a lot of stretching you, a lot of strengthening, a lot of endurance, you know, like I said, a lot of pruning, a lot of refinement, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of teaching that's going on in this time. But you want that blessing. You want that birthright that God has for you. Don't settle for anything less just because you are running impatient, just because you're famished, because you're hungry. Baby, we all hungry. But with God, we'll eat for real. But with Satan, he'll give you some breadcrumbs. He'll give you he'll give you a little Lunchable. He'll give you a little Lunchable, but you're still gonna be hungry later. But you done sold your blessing for a quick fix. Trust in God and what God has for you. Amen.